Hello, lovely viewers and subscribers. My name is Jada Brown Thompson, and thank you so much for tuning into this video. So in this video, I would like to discuss the differences that I have experienced in investing in real estate in Jamaica versus investing abroad. And for me, that is in Baltimore, Maryland. So I am a property manager, real estate agent, and investor located in Baltimore, Maryland. And then I am building a home in Manchester, Jamaica with my husband. So just to give you a backstory before we dive into the video. So the house that we're building in Manchester, Jamaica is a it's a 7-bedroom house, and the reason why I'm laughing is because the house did not start off that big. Like, we did not set out to build this big old house like that. But what happened was we planned to build a 4-bedroom house. And when we were doing the plan with the architect, he let us know that the slope of the land, the land slopes, and therefore we could have a basement. And my husband was adamant that the land was flat, so there was no need for a basement. So he drew the plans according to what my husband wanted as the client, and it was supposed to be a 4-bedroom. However, when we started doing the foundation, even the contractor said, hey, this land slopes, you guys can have a basement. And voila, now we have a 3-bedroom basement that we're getting ready to do the decking for. So that's why the house is now a 7-bedroom. And our goal for that house is to be our personal residence, our dream home, and then use the basement for investing purposes. We either want to do long-term rental or short-term rental like Airbnb or something of that nature. We're leaning more towards the long-term rental because of just personal reasons, having the same person there consistently. But we're also looking at short-term rentals, but obviously we have to see how profitable that would be for the area, because again, it is in Manchester, Jamaica, and in not one of those North Coast areas. So still doing research on that, but that is the plan for the house. Now, in terms of Baltimore, Maryland, we do own property in Baltimore. We own a few single family houses, and then I'm also a property manager and manage other people's properties, but we own a few of our own. So that is the basis of my experiences. Also have some property in Florida, but we'll get into that at another time. But that is what I want to compare and contrast, is our experiences in America versus our experiences in Jamaica. Now, I know that it will be difficult to compare the two markets because it's two different countries. I'm not trying to do it at a granular level. I'm just telling you my experiences from what I see. Now, I want to start by talking about property appreciation. Wow. Okay, so getting into Jamaica. Jamaica is like hot bread right now, and I think it's always been like that. But since I've been investing, properties appreciate very fast in Jamaica to the point where it's like I want to get my hands on more land. When we bought the property in Manchester, it was $3 million for a 1/4-acre lot, right? And now the same lot and that same development can sell for $8 million to $8.5 million. So in the span of a few years, that property has, basically doubled and some. So I'm noticing that this is not just that neighborhood. This is widespread throughout the island. Properties appreciate really fast in Jamaica. And there are times where I am speaking with land flippers there who are holding on to a parcel of land. They're not making any improvements, nothing. and they're selling the property a year later for sometimes double and then some more. I am seeing houses that I would think would not sell for as much as they do, and they're selling. And I've spoken to realtors who are letting me know that, hey, these properties are selling. We can have a property that goes under contract in 2 days. And most of the time it's people from overseas who are buying these properties, who want to use it as vacation property, Airbnb, or they're buying it to hold on to it for when they retire. So properties appreciate very fast in Jamaica. Now, compared to what I'm noticing here, so in Baltimore, our properties do not appreciate that fast. We may see them, like for right now, we're seeing them stagnate. They're not going up, they're not going down, they're kind of just holding their current value. And one of our properties appreciated 3% in 1 year, which is typical. But we're not seeing where we're buying a property as is, and the next year that property is worth double. That's not happening. I wish it was happening, but it's not happening. Properties are not appreciating that fast in my market in Baltimore, Maryland. Now, for the property in Florida, we did see a lot of appreciation during COVID because so many people were wanting to leave their jobs or work remotely, and they were leaving the north and they were coming to the south, and they were enjoying the low property taxes and no income tax and all that stuff in Florida. So because of the high demand that was happening in Florida, it put a lot of upward pressure on those prices. And then during COVID, it was low interest rates, so we had a lot of people moving to Florida. However, now that has changed and the interest rates are going up, and now the prices are going down. So now we're seeing depreciation in a lot of Florida markets where those prices are really coming down. So I've noticed that properties are not appreciating like Jamaica. Jamaica's holding its value, it's going up, and I've not seen it come down as of yet. The next difference that I have seen in investing in Jamaica is the financing. So obviously in America, we have long-term mortgages that you can invest in 15 to 30 years. And the major difference is that interest rate stays the same. It's a fixed interest rate in America. You don't really see interest rates fluctuating unless that's the type of loan product that you have chosen. But for the most part, our interest rates are fixed. In Jamaica, it is not like that. Interest rates are not fixed. You may get an introductory rate where it's fixed for 3 years, but after that, it goes up and down depending on the market, which puts a lot of instability on your investment because it's hard to dictate how much you will be paying in interest because you don't know. You just get a notice that it can be going up or down. So that is a big difference, and it makes it harder to invest because part of investing is knowing your numbers, and if those numbers can consistently change, you kind of have to, I don't know what you do in that sense. I guess you put a threshold, I don't know, but that makes it difficult. Also, the financing is different in the sense of there's a new underwriting change that has happened in Jamaica if you're buying land as an overseas resident. Before, everybody put down the same 10% down payment for land. However, the last time that I spoke with my mortgage broker in Jamaica when I wanted to purchase land, she told me that there was a change earlier this year where now if you're buying land in Jamaica as an overseas person, you have to put down, some banks require 25%, other banks require 40%. And she was saying it's because they're trying to curb so much overseas investment and incentivize the local people to buy this land so that not all these overseas people are just buying up all the land, not leaving anything for a person who lives in Jamaica. So that is a difference as well. The next thing that I want to talk about is the time commitment. So In Jamaica, things take a lot longer to accomplish. We all know that, it's not a secret. So, yes, you can be under contract within a few days, but then to actually close on a property takes a significantly longer time than it does in America, and that's something that I've noticed. So, for example, if you're buying a house in America, conventional loan, FHA, 30 days, and you'll be able to close, right? In Jamaica, it's like 6 months, 9 months, a year. Things move a lot slower. And then there's also the time commitment if you're building. So a lot of people in Jamaica, including me, including overseas people, they build homes in Jamaica. And in America, it's mostly like just building homes that are already made. These are resales and you put your touches on it, but mostly the house is ready to go, move-in ready. It's not like that in Jamaica. So there's a significantly different time frame. So us building a house has taken years and will probably take another year for us to actually finish this house. And in terms of financing, a lot of people, including us, are using cash. We're not using a loan. So therefore, it's going to take longer. You don't see that in America. If you're building a house in America, most of the time you're using debt. So even if you're building, you're using debt. And there's a lot of red tape because you have to get permits. You have to wait on an inspector to come out and inspect the property. You have to get approvals. You have to work with licensed contractors, licensed subcontractors. You have to have the bank come out and inspect it before they give you the money. And so it's much faster. Like I've seen people build houses in 2 to 3 months in America because it's those frames that they use, the framing out of it. They're not using concrete like in Jamaica, so it's built faster. But in Jamaica, I think it's built better because the material is, the concrete, the cement, it's sturdy. Most of the time you're using cash to build it. They do offer construction loans in Jamaica, but I don't know of anybody who's ever used it. I'm sure people do, but most of the people that I know are using cash, so it takes longer. Anybody who's been to Jamaica can just drive anywhere and see unfinished houses because people have run out of money. They've unfortunately passed away. They've gotten frustrated. They've gone abroad and they've left those houses there. So it's a definite difference in terms of the time commitment. You go and you buy a house in America, 30 days, you can be moving in. If you're building in Jamaica, years it's going to take before you move in. If you're buying with a loan, that too can take a lot longer than here. The next thing I want to talk about is the value creation. So again, properties in Jamaica appreciate very fast, right? You can make a lot of money because your property is appreciating in Jamaica versus in America, where it may not appreciate as fast. And then the next thing is the value creation component, because when you're taking raw land and you're developing it, you're creating value for that property. You're improving the lot, you're adding the utilities, you're creating something from the raw earth, right? And so when you do something like that, there's that major component of building equity, building value, increasing value. And if you sold that property, you could make a lot of money. We did a full renovation on one of our houses here in Baltimore. And we bought that property for about $150,000. And then we put another $30,000 in the property in terms of renovation. And all in, that property cost us $180,000 all in. But then on the other hand, the property is worth now $250,000. And, it's continued to appreciate because it's in a hot area. But I believe that if we would have done the same thing in Jamaica and taken a property that was run down and put in the same $30,000 US dollars, we would have made a lot more money if we sold that house, just because of how hot Jamaica is. It just is. And then next, I want to talk about the expectation of consumers. And when I say consumers, I am talking about the local people. So in Jamaica, I've noticed that if someone is actually Jamaican, earning Jamaican dollars, and when they see the prices of real estate, 90% of the time they're saying either it's not worth it, it's too high, it's overpriced, the government needs to do something, and only the rich people abroad can afford these homes. And whether or not they're right, I'm not going to comment on that, but these houses are being sold, these houses are being rented, because if they weren't, why would the realtors be just putting up properties that they know are not going to sell? So I think the expectations of consumers are a lot different than they are in America, because even right now in Baltimore, the rent is very high compared to the property purchase price. But I'm just realizing, as a realtor, this is just what I'm noticing. The people who are renting are not really complaining. They're just figuring it out, because they're like, what am I going to do? I have no other options. So if a property is sold for $100,000, but then they're renting it for $1,800, the people are just like, okay, it is what it is. Can I afford it or not? But I don't see that in Jamaica. I'm seeing a lot different expectations of the consumers. So this is what I'm realizing as an investor in Jamaica versus an investor in America. Again, the end goal is different for our investments here versus there. We're using these investments to fuel the investment there. But obviously, this is just my experiences. And if you have experience investing overseas versus investing in Jamaica, I would like to hear it. So please comment down below so we can have a conversation about it. And thank you so much for watching. Make sure to subscribe to my channel, and I'll see you guys in another video.